Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Tillman. Now, I've done videos in the past where I talk about officers utilizing excessive force when a person is in custody. But I want you to understand something. When I criticize those officers, it's not because I'm saying that a person is no longer a threat when they're in cuffs. I'm criticizing because they were actually, once that person was in custody, they weren't trying to accomplish any other goals when they use that force against that person in custody. And so I say that to say this, is that when a person is in handcuffs, sometimes they can still be a threat. As a matter of fact, I've seen many of instances where a person is in handcuffs and they can still be a threat. So now that leads me to the couple videos that we're going to watch today. The first video I want to show you comes to us recently, where we see a lady that's arguing and struggling with officers that are attempting to take her into custody. Now, once they put handcuffs on her, she still poses a threat to those officers. So let's watch this video, then we're going to compare that video to another one. And I all want to just re-emphasize the fact that people can still be dangerous even when they're in handcuffs. Let's take a look. Yo,
that's fucked up.
All right, now that we've watched that video, I want you guys to understand something. Even though this lady was in handcuffs, she was still a threat to these officers. Even though the punch seemed egregious, we have to ask ourselves, was it warranted? Was that officer trying to accomplish a goal with his use of force? And if you ask me, he was. The goal that he was trying to accomplish was to prevent her from, biting him, one, but two, maybe even transferring a disease to him. We've heard of HIV, we've heard of AIDS, and if you get, through bodily fluids, if somebody bites you or through a needle, you can also be in danger of getting that same disease that person has. Now, I'm not saying this person has that or that lady had that, but it's a risk that we face in our job. The other thing I want you guys to realize is that, again, compliance is key. I know officers need to de-escalate situations, but at the same time, we can't prevent certain people from taking on actions like this lady did when she wanted to bite him. So now that we've watched that video, I want to go to another video that also comes to us when a person is in handcuffs and still shows that he can be a danger to the officers in the room. Let's go ahead and go to Las Vegas now, where we see officers take a person into custody for a shooting. And as they're trying to, escort this person into a secure room, something goes south. Let's take a look.
Struggle with officers as police pull Lyndon Truong into an elevator at Allegiant Stadium. Just moments before, the 28-year-old was put in handcuffs after police say he got into an altercation and pushed a security officer. Truong continued to resist, and while in handcuffs and pinned to the wall, take a close look. You can see as he reaches for an officer's gun. He then manages to pull the trigger, hitting another officer in the leg. That officer was sent to the hospital, but is now back home recovering.
Now, I don't know if you guys caught this, but this suspect was able to grab the officer's gun while he was in handcuffs, squeeze the trigger, and let off a round. That round actually struck an officer in the leg, and that officer luckily was able to be saved and everything worked out. But at the end of the day, he was still a threat to those officers and caused some type of damage to that officer. So why do I show these two videos? Why do I compare them? This first video has been going viral because the punch thrown by that deputy or that officer looks egregious. I'm not going to lie, it looks egregious. But at the end of the day, I've told you before, when it comes to use of force, there has to be a goal behind that officer's use of force that he's utilizing. And in this situation, the goal was to prevent her from biting him further or doing anything else, even though she was in handcuffs. And so this is why, even though a person may be in handcuffs, they can still be a threat. I want you guys to remember this anytime you see an officer utilize force. The ones I've called out before, the reason I've called those officers out in the past when they were utilizing force against a person that was already handcuffed is because when they utilized that force, they weren't trying to accomplish a goal. They were just using that force because they got frustrated. In this situation, I don't know if the officer was just using the force just because he was frustrated. I think he was also using that force in order to stop the threat of her biting him or biting somebody else. So I hope you guys learned something from this video. Thanks again and God bless.